Oh, God. So, as you guys know, my friend Chris is sending me the Marvel haul, and I got a sneaking suspicion that Daredevil Black Armor will be in there. It's kind of like another Lost Tales of a bygone era from an original writer of that run. We've been seeing that a lot in Marvel. And in order to catch up on Black Armor, I decided to order Daredevil Fall from Grace. Now, I actually like the black costume. The only thing that I think, I think it's overblown. The hate is overblown for this Daredevil costume. Is it the best? Not really. And I think the thing that really, people don't like is, the armor padding. If it didn't have the armor padding, I feel like a lot of more people would like it. So I decided to read. I ordered this, and I actually like when I like getting these classic Marvel trades. They actually feel like books. Yeah. So, Daredevil Fall from Grace from D.G. Chichester, I hope I'm saying that name right, and artwork by Scott McDaniel. Ah, God, it's a mess. It's a fucking mess of a book. It's just, it's so bad, it's hysterical. It's ironically good in a weird way. I can't even begin to describe this book because I don't even think it knew what to do. I feel like there was a story that Chichester wanted to do. I swear he did. I swear he wanted... There's a story here. But then it got stacked on with, cyborgs and psychics and Venom's in this book, but I can't blame him for that one. Venom had... I think that was the marching order of the 90s, is that if you were writing a comic, you had to put Venom in it, because Venom was the new hotness. Or Venom, Ghost Rider, or Punisher. Those are the three. You had to put in anti-heroes. Morbius shows up. Elektra. And arguably, a lot of people talk about how bad this Daredevil black costume is. I don't think anyone talks about this. Elektra is bald, 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 bald. My eyes! And you may be thinking, oh, well, that's kind of surface level stuff, don't you think? It's not only that. Daredevil, Elektra in a white costume never worked for me, and I don't think it worked for anyone. And the other thing is, too, it's not just the hair. It's also that in the comic she's kind of treated as the sidekick, the damsel in distress. When if you've read any comic, you've read any Elektra book, from Frank Miller's introduction of her all the way to the Chip Zdarsky comics to even now with Saladin Ahmed, those fucking books, Elektra is not a damsel in distress. She's not the hot side piece. So yeah, her being I don't the whole idea of her being bald was one thing, but they really take the writer really takes away of what's good for Elektra, because she just breaks down and cries every 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, and there's a demon in this book that gets summoned by some CIA operative to hunt down a guy who has a virus plague or something. I don't know. And Matt, during all of this, has to pretend he's dead. Do you see what I'm going with this? This book is so hilariously overstocked with shit and characters and unnecessary storytelling that it's hilarious. Also, the writing is... oh, man, the writing. Oh, there's stuff they do a recap with one character, John Garrett, who most of you guys would probably remember Garrett, played by Bill Paxton in the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was an actual Marvel character, and basically, let me just go through some of the writing real quick with this character, because it's all, it made me go, huh. Now, in fairness, apparently from interviews, Chichester wrote these lines as more of overhyped dialogue, is it's kind of an in-joke, so I let it slide, honestly. But here's John Garrett's inner monologue. Let me read this out to you. I'm the president, and I've got the button. Life's pretty excellent now. Time was, though, I was a S.H.I.E.L.D. cyborg named John Garrett, and life was pretty much excrement. Not excitement, excrement. Just wanted to point that out. I'd use a 4-letter language, but then there's the lady president. just as hot as the devil ever made, by the name of Elektra. The hand were chop suey ninjas. That's an actual line, people. Kowtowing to some beast casting votes for their Manchurian candidate, like Ken Wynn being a Democrat wasn't bad enough. Once in office, he'd do the hand's evil bidding. Me and the sweet thing had other ideas than a demon-possessed liberal in the White House, and the body count to back up our convictions. I backed out of her. I watched out for her back. I stumbled because it was just so bad. And every other luscious curve. She'd watch mine, too. I'm sure she meant that, too. Anyway. Yeah. See where I'm getting at? It's kind of, and there's other lines of dialogue in here that just make you go, that's hilariously awful. This is not a bad... I don't hate this book. I know I'm sounding like I hate this comic, but it's such a beautiful train wreck and such a wonderful eye into the 90s. It's such a... Like, if you wanted a comic to perfectly represent the 90s... If you perfectly wanted to represent the 90s in your comic, look no further than this, because it has everything. Overcomplicated storyline, unnecessary supernatural stuff, big machismo dialogue, Venom just shows up. And it's also doesn't help that, like, there's also, like, it's weird. Like, there's so much shit going on that you forget what the main plot was of, like, Matt Murdock having his identity out as Daredevil, so he has to pretend to be Daredevil, but not Matt Murdock. You see where I'm going with this? It's kind of fun. It's actually kind of fun in its own ridiculous way. I'm not trying to sound like I'm shitting on Chichester. I'm really not. Because I have read other stuff from him, from his Daredevil run, and it's actually good. Like, I've actually read, like, the other stuff in his Daredevil run, and other stuff he did, and I am interested in Black Armor. I just, like, this comic just feels like there was an idea, and then I don't know if, like, he wanted to add more to the idea, or, you know, Marvel at the time wanted to overcomplicate things. I'm convinced Venom was, unless told otherwise, I'm convinced Venom was, like, marching orders. Like, you had to put Venom in there, because 90s. Because 90s Marvel. But, yeah. It's kind of dumb fun. I got this off of Thrift Books for like $9. You can probably get it in a Marvel Epic Collection or something of that nature. But yeah, I find it so much fun in a cosmic sort of way. It's just so much fun to read. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on Chichester. Again, I hope I'm saying that last name right. But yeah. This book is, like, it's bad, but then it roundabout way comes to be, like, fun. Like, it's, like, I'm a guy who likes Spawn comics, so I have no room to talk. I enjoy, and this is basically a Spawn book. I'm not gonna lie. This Daredevil book is like reading a Spawn comic, where you have a basic plot, and then it gets overcomplicated by other shit, but it still looks cool. That's what I'm getting at, is that Daredevil Fall from Grace is like reading a Spawn comic. And again, I understand and I wouldn't, like, say I'm an avid Spawn fan. I enjoy Spawn as, like, junk food comics. And that's kind of what I looked at for this, is that, it's kind of a beautiful mess. It's like a junk food comic in a way, where it's just so ridiculous it goes back to being almost fun. You see what I'm saying? Anyway. So if you've read Daredevil Fall from Grace, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in Multiverse.